It was my cross you bore, so I could live in the freedom you died for. And now my life is yours, and I will sing of your goodness forevermore. Worthy is your name, Jesus. You deserve the praise. Worthy is your name. Worthy is your name, Jesus. You deserve the praise. Worthy is your name. And now my shame is gone, and I'll stand amazed in your love undeniable. Your grace goes on, and I will sing of your goodness forevermore. Worthy is your name, Jesus. You deserve the praise. Worthy is your name. Worthy is your name, Jesus. You deserve the praise. Worthy is your name. Worthy is your name, Jesus. You deserve the praise. Worthy is your name. Worthy is your name, Jesus. You deserve the praise. Worthy is your name. Be exalted now in the heavens as your glory fills this place. You alone deserve our praise. You're the name above all names. Be exalted now in the heavens as your glory fills this place. You alone deserve our praise. You're the name above all names. Be exalted now in the heavens as your glory fills this place. You alone deserve our praise. You're the name above all names. Be exalted now in the heavens as your glory fills this place. You alone deserve our praise. You're the name above all. Worthy is your name, Jesus. You deserve the praise. Worthy is your name. Worthy is your name, Jesus. You deserve the praise. Worthy is your name. Worthy is your name, Jesus. You deserve the praise. Worthy is your name. Worthy is your name, Jesus. You deserve the praise. Worthy is your name. Oh,
Hey, welcome. This is a relaunch of our Orchard Hill devotional. We discovered during the quarantine and beginning of the pandemic that there was real value in gathering together as a church family virtually during the week. And obviously during that time, we did it frequently. But right now, we want to try this fall to do it once a week on Wednesday nights, just to gather for a time of some encouragement. We'll have a song. We'll have a little teaching from one of our staff members. We'll tighten the rotation a little just because there's so few opportunities versus how many, but we'll have a chance just to gather and think about something that matters in the middle of the week. And here's what I'm planning and we're hoping to do this fall together, and that is we're hoping to look at the life of Samson. Now, you may say, okay, life of Samson. I remember him vaguely, Old Testament figure. He was the guy who was strong, was able to beat up all kinds of people, and had that little thing with Delilah and ended up in a bad place because he got beat by the Philistines because he cut his hair, had to push down the pillars. Like you probably have some of that in your mind. Even if you haven't been around church, that story is still around our culture enough that there's some idea about it. And so what we're going to do, and the story's told in Judges chapter 13 through 16, so 4 chapters. We're just going to look at these chapters and learn some of the lessons that we can learn from his life. And Samson, in many ways, is a tragic figure. And I say tragic because he had a really good start and a really bad ending. And in fact, that's really what I want to just talk about here this evening. And that is that one of the things we learn from Samson is that a great beginning is no guarantee of a good ending. In fact, a good ending is predicated more on choices we make throughout our journey than it is the way that we begin. And here's why I say that. In Judges 13, where we get the story of Samson, and Judges is an Old Testament book that tells the story of the judges, hence the name. So there were people who were judges in Israel. They were like the leaders, but they weren't kings at that point. They were judges. And Samson was a judge. And the way that chapter 13 begins is his parents are here and an angel appears to them. And the angel basically tells them about Samson. Verse 5, it says, "You'll become pregnant and have a son who is never to be touched by a razor, because the boy is to be a Nazarite, dedicated to God from the womb. He will take the lead in delivering Israel from the hands of the Philistines." And so here's what you have. You have this angel coming, appearing to his parents and saying he's going to be a Nazarite. And that meant you'd never cut your hair. I have some boys who think they're Nazarites. I mean, there's some people who think, I'm a Nazarite. But a Nazarite meant that they'd never cut their hair. They'd never touch a dead body. And they often had some other restrictions. Those were chief among them. And this was their way of life. And so from the womb, it's like this boy is set apart. He's going to be God's instrument for deliverance. And then in verse 20, we see that there's this miraculous thing that happens where they make this sacrifice to God, and the thing, it was just a miraculous moment. And the reason I point this out, I'm not going to take the time to read it all, you can read it. The reason I point this out is Samson starts his life with an incredible promise. He starts it with this unique calling, and he has this miraculous moment all at the beginning. And yet, as I mentioned at the beginning, his ending was tragic. And it was tragic because he did not follow the Lord fully. He had a great beginning and a difficult ending. Several years ago, I had a chance to climb Mount Rainier, which is in Washington State, with a group of friends. And we hired a guide to help us make the trek up to the top of the mountain, because a lot of people evidently try this and don't do it, and you need certain gear because you're climbing across glaciers and all kinds of stuff. It was a pretty cool experience. It was one of those great experiences in life. I don't know that I'll ever want to do it again because it was pretty hard. But one of the things that happened when we had the guide was the guide set a pace for us that was so slow that it felt ridiculous when we began. And I remember, the first day we were climbing, I was just like, man, this seems like I could go way harder. Why don't we walk faster? Like, it's almost harder. It felt harder to walk slow. And what the guide said, in essence, was, I've done this a lot of times, and I'm going to pace you so that you have what it takes to finish. Now, we also needed to train, being somebody who's not 20 anymore, or 30 anymore, or 40 anymore. I can't just simply go climb a mountain. And so the friends and I, we all kind of men of a certain age, we all trained together to say, let's make sure that we have what it takes to do this. Now the reason I tell this story is because it would be really easy to charge up that mountain and not have what it takes to get there. And the point isn't go slow in your life, but it's to say, what are the things that you need to build into your life so that you are a person who can end well? So that you're a person who doesn't simply say, I started in faith and I washed out. You know people who had really strong faith for a season, and then somewhere down the road, their faith ceased to be important, or maybe they lost kind of their sense of belief altogether. And so the question is, what do you need to build into your life that gives you the pacing or the ability to continue over a long time? Here's what Colossians chapter 2 says in verse 6. It says, so then, just as you received Christ Jesus as Lord, continue to live your lives in him, rooted and built up in him, strengthened in faith as you were taught, and overflowing with thankfulness. And the word continue in the original language is the word walk. It means continue to walk, continue to do the things that you've done. And he tells us, he says, it's being rooted, built up, strengthened in faith. And so my question for you tonight is, what is it that helps you get rooted in faith, built up, that you need to keep leaning into, especially in this time? You know, we're in a season where the pandemic has really distanced a lot of normal relationships. And one of the things that has easily gone away is gathering with other Christians and groups and in church. And certainly for some, it may still not be time to regather, but my point is this, and that is, what are the disciplines and the relationships and the connections that you're building into your life so that your faith has the staying power that you need in order to endure? What are those things for you? And if you're not being intentional about it, then there's a chance that, like Samson, what you'll have is a great beginning and a bad ending. Because what happened for Samson ultimately was he, and we'll see this next week, was led by his natural appetites. He chose basically to say, instead of being led by the things of God, the word of God, I'm going to be led by what I want. And when those two things started to conflict, he chose what he wanted rather than God's way. And one of those things was right in this Nazirite vow. And that was ultimately the whole issue with his hair getting cut. It's not that long hair gave him strength. I mean, this isn't, Fabio or anything like that. This is his disobedience that ended up being the loss of his strength. It was because he chose to say, I'm going to do what I want to do. So I told you about hiking Mount Rainier. So a couple years after that, my family and I went out to the Grand Canyon. It was the first time I'd ever been. And the Grand Canyon's different than a lot of hikes because you go down first and up on the way back. And we had planned a day hike. And it was a pretty aggressive, long day hike. And on the way down, my wife, Faith, kept saying, this is really good. I got this. I've been working out. And I kept saying to her, because I'd had the Rainier experience not that long ago, if we're going to walk up 4,000 feet at the end of the day, we need to turn sooner because, and she kept wanting to go farther into the canyon because it was so great. And I kept saying, we should turn around because I know what it's going to take to go back up. And she was like, I got this. I've been working out. And she did have it, and she did walk up, and it was an epic day. It was a great day. But my point is this, again, sometimes what we can do is we can not have the long view in mind. And we can simply say, I'm just living my life today and not thinking about what it is that I need to do to persevere. And the Christian experience is a long, hard experience, if we're honest. There will be people who will disappoint you, turn on you. There will be temptations that will come your way that will be substantial, that will scream, this is what you need, this is what you want. There will be times when you say, I don't get enough appreciation for all the ways that I give and serve and participate in things. There will be so many moments where you'll say, is this worth it? And it is worth it. But what we need to understand is that a great beginning does not guarantee a strong ending. It's the choices that we make along the way. that guarantee that. And ultimately, the reason we would want to do that is because we've come to see the beauty of who Jesus Christ is, what he's done, what he's given for us. And because we understand that, we'll say, I know that this is the pearl of great price that I want more than anything else. You know, when I was climbing Rainier, there was a moment when we were on the final part of the ascent where I was like, I don't know if I can do this. This is almost too hard. And for me, my motivation that day was there's no way I'm going to go home and tell my sons that I didn't reach the top. Like, there's no way I'm turning around now. I don't care how hard it is, because I don't want that embarrassment. You know, sometimes because our God is a God of grace, there is no embarrassment from falling short. And so sometimes we think there's no consequence. But if you read through the story of Samson, what you see is a tragic ending because he chose his own path rather than to stay true to the things of God. And the draw isn't to say, I don't want to embarrass myself before my kids or somebody else, but to say, I know that if God is who he said he is, that his way will ultimately be the best way, whether it feels like it today or not. And so I don't want to just have a good beginning and a bad ending, but I want to instead follow God throughout all the days of my life. And that's something we learn from the life of Samson. Don't forget weekend worship. Online, 6:30 or 6 o'clock Saturday night and 9:30 and 11:15. Outdoor Wexford service Saturday night. And then all the other times, Butler County, Strip District, Wexford. Great opportunity just to start rebuilding the discipline of gathering and participating in public worship. Have a great night.